Episode 137 of Australia's #1 marketing show. Listen in as RedBalloon's Naomi Simson talks about how she built a business based on happiness.
Welcome to the Small Business Big Marketing Show, where successful small business owners share their secrets to take your marketing to the next level. Now here's your host, Tim Reid.
G'day everyone and welcome back to another episode of Australia's favourite small business marketing show. I'm your host, Timbo Reid. You, so much more importantly, are a very motivated small business owner who's there to crank out some fantastic marketing. And we're brought to you by the very good folks at Net Registry, who basically live and breathe to get your online marketing sorted. So whether it's domain name hosting, website development and design, search engine optimization, pay-per-click advertising, a little bit of social media love, whatever it may be, you're going to love Net Registry. I would suggest stopping the podcast ever so briefly and going to netregistry.com.au and bookmarking that puppy, because at some point in your business life, you're going to think, geez, the old online marketing could do with a bit of a tickle, could do with a bit of love. And whilst you get a lot of tips and tricks on the Small Business Big Marketing Show, when it comes time to implement, you need to go to Net Registry. Implementation, guys, and action is, sort of close to marketing silver bullet. Everything, I guess if you were to draw a similarity amongst all the people that I interview on this show, it's the fact that they've taken action, not only in their online marketing, but in all aspects of their marketing. So Net Registry is for you. I want to also welcome the wonderfully beautiful people at Flying Solo, all those people who work by themselves. FlyingSolo.com.au is Australia's biggest community of solopreneurs. Now, big show. I'm always genuinely excited about hitting the record button, but I don't know, today just feels a little bit different. Birds are chirping outside. It's pouring with rain, but that is okay. Today, I have got some email grievances that I want to share with you. We had an episode a few weeks ago about email marketing tips and tricks. I just want to talk a little bit about email etiquette. Three things I want to share with you there. Some wonderful discussion happening in the forum, give you some insights into that. And then we are going to get stuck into our guest, who is Naomi Simson of RedBalloon fame. And off the back of that, don't go away, because I want to share some learnings that I took from having a fireside chat with Naomi. Plus, I have had listeners make contact with me from the other side of the world, which happens actually on a regular basis, but I want to share a bit of listener love with you at the back end of the interview with Naomi Simson. So let's get stuck into it, guys. First and all, I was going to say, but that wouldn't have made sense. First and foremost, email grievances. 3 things that have annoyed me recently in regards to receiving email from other people. No names mentioned, but if you are guilty of any of these things, I wonder whether you should change your email ways. Number 1, non-personalized email. I receive an email from a person who works at a company. She is a real person with a real name, yet every email I get from her comes from info at, and I don't know. That kind of freaks me out, because, she occupies a position which she's occupied for a number of years now. I know that for a fact, yet I continue to get an email which is info at. I think a little bit of personalization is a good thing. Number 2, use of the ISP in the email address. For example, at bigpond.com. If you're a business, then you really should have your email address being part of your domain name, if that makes sense. So, for example, Tim at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com is my email address. However, it would be a bit weird if it was Tim at bigpond.com, or even worse, smallbusinessbigmarketing at bigpond.com. For overseas listeners, Big Pond is probably the biggest ISP in Australia. Maybe, I don't know. I'm guessing it is. There are some other big ones, but you get the gist. So I think personalizing your email address to match your website address, your domain name, is a good thing. Third grievance is fill in the subject line. I hate receiving emails that have no subject line. I don't get it. And particularly when I'm searching for stuff, although Gmail these days is so brilliant with its search, it looks throughout the entire email. I do like the idea of scanning emails to see what they're about. So look, 3 little things that have been getting on my Gertie in regards to email. If you're guilty of any of them, you're going to change them, or you're just going to go, you know what, Timbo? You're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, would love to hear from you. Leave a note in the show notes and tell me your thoughts in regards to your email etiquette. Show notes being for episode 137, go to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com and you will find out, you'll be able to find all the show notes there, basically. There's so much gold at that website. You know, as I create more content, week in, week out, there is some wonderful content. In fact, go to the blog. This week, I have just posted a blog, part 1 of a 2-part blog answering every single question you guys had that you posted on the Small Business Big Marketing Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn feeds around domain names. And the guys at Net Registry were kind enough to provide answers to all those domain name questions. You can find that on the blog at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. Hey, a lot of discussion happening in the Small Business Big Marketing Forum. Things around most recent discussions in the last few days. I've got one member asking about how to use video marketing for their window furnishing business. Another one is thinking of using a particular line on vehicle signage and is asking for member input. Someone else is looking for a new business name. There's a QR code discussion. There's a discussion around making e-commerce emails fun. Lots of marketing banter, guys, and it's $49 a month. That is all. So go to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com and click on the products page. You'll find the forum button right there. And join us, guys, because I'm in there every day answering questions, and so are a lot of other motivated small business owners who just want to grow their business, basically, through smart marketing. All right, my guest for today is Naomi Simson. I've been wanting to have a chat to Naomi Simson for a long time. I shared a stage with her about 2 years ago when I spoke at a conference, 500 newsagents in the audience, and both Naomi and I spoke at that conference. That's the first time I met her. But I've been having following, watching, enjoying the RedBalloon business for a number of years now. Let me share Naomi's blog biography with you. Here we go. Imagine running a business based on happiness, because that's what Naomi does. We talk about that up front. That's what Naomi Simson decided to do, to try when she left a serious corporate career to set up an online experience retailer, RedBalloon, in 2001. Since then, RedBalloon has sold, get this, 1.8 million experiences and has been named a BRW Great Place to Work, BRW being Australia's leading business magazine, 4 times running. She's also received the 2008 National Telstra Business Women's Awards for Innovation and the 2011 Ernst and Young Industry Entrepreneur of the Year Award. She's got a lot of awards under her belt. She is a very interesting lady. She's built a wonderful business. It's a fun business. It's built on happiness. And we pick up that discussion around happiness very shortly in this fireside chat. So here it is. Here she is, I should say, Naomi Simson of RedBalloon. Naomi Simson from RedBalloon, welcome to Small Business Big Marketing.
Thank you.
Wonderful to have you, Naomi. Now, tell me, this sounds like an obvious question, but I'm interested to know, why did you decide to start a business based on happiness?
Look, actually, happiness is the outcome. It's not necessarily the business. We sell experience vouchers. But what we do is make very special moments for experiences to happen and lots of good times. Happiness, after all, is a choice. That tends to be the outcome rather than what we actually sell.
What were you doing before you started RedBalloon? Were you in a corporate job incredibly unhappy?
I have had many corporate jobs, and some of them are a little happier than others.
Yeah.
So, look, I'd worked for some very big brands. I worked for Apple. That's interesting. I worked for IBM. I worked for KPMG, a professional services firm. And at some point in my career, I also worked for Ansett. And Ansett was an airline. And I worked in I launched their frequency program in Australia as part of the team on that. And was very involved with the loyalty side of the business at Ansett. Mm.
So what was the moment where you've gone, we need a happiness business here in Australia?
Well, I suppose there's several things. You couldn't get two businesses more different than Ansett Airlines and Apple. And I left one and went to the other. And in that moment, working inside an entrepreneurial business, as Apple was in those days, you really get such a different view of the world and how being driven by purpose, it means you never have to work another day in your life because you love what you do. I don't see it as work. So I had a family and I wanted greater flexibility about where I spent my time, and I thought, I could run an online business, and that's how it all started. But really the reason why I chose RedBalloon Experiences was because it's what they call a disruptive innovation. In those times, literally, the only real online businesses were evolutionary, like greengrocer.com, great business, but you could still buy your milk up the street. So Experiences had never been done online and couldn't be done in any other way really effectively in a country like Australia.
Yeah, right. Okay. So that's interesting. Kind of you've found your why, haven't you? I mean, if I was to quote Simon Sinek, he would talk, you found your why, and therefore it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah. And that I thought, I never referred to it as my why. It's just, he's put.
He just did a very good. He did a very good job at packaging it up.
Exactly, but I knew why I was in business a long time before we'd put that label on it, and what my passion was. In the first, I thought it was about having a lifestyle and being able to be with my children, but it wasn't very long until I realised that wasn't it at all. That's how we do business. It's not why we do business. Why we do business is because the impact that we have on our customers. And in reading what we have, which is called How Was It For You? We send these surveys out to every single participant who goes on a RedBalloon experience. In reading those, that's how we got clear about the why. And and literally, hearing people's beautiful stories about the special moment that they created with their, father or their sister or their sibling or whoever it was. And when people share the intimate details of those very special good times, there was one where a man, for his father's 84th birthday, gave him a trip on a DC-3 flight. And that man was excited like a little boy going to a birthday party when his son drove him there. And, he'd always wanted to fly on a DC-3. And this man wrote that his father was a very quiet man, and he'd always remember that day as one of the days he spoke. So I got really clear that what is so wonderful about what we do at RedBalloon is that we impact people's lives, and we create those moments of good times.
How do you, with those questionnaires, I'm interested in that because a guest recently who has one of a very high-performing online business that sells bathtubs in America, he encourages people to leave testimonials on their experience of buying a bathtub by donating $2.50 for every testimonial he gets, and he ran a campaign for that. He got 1,000 testimonials. How do you encourage people to fill out that questionnaire? Because that's great research.
We run in some ways a very two-dimensional business. That is that. We often don't get to meet our customers. We don't get to eyeball them. They don't really get to experience us. And the only way they get that is through our website, or if they're touched by I shouldn't use that word touch, but if they call somebody in our customer experience team. So it's moments by moments. It's human interaction that creates brand and creates brand essence. But I have a theory that it's that authentic voice which creates your brand. And you can't, of course, people are going to write good things if in any way they're paid. And by default, they are actually paying, for a good cause, but they're donating on that behalf. It's the spontaneous acknowledgement that is unbelievably powerful.
Yeah.
So if I look at our first year in business, we sold about 300 experiences. And in those days, there was no social media. The number one way that people found out about RedBalloon was they went on one. So in those early days, only 300 experiences, there was 300 moments that we could either create a fabulous brand experience or not. Mm-hmm. And our only hope was that maybe they'd tell people at a dinner party, I tried this RedBalloon thing and it kind of worked. So if we fast forward to 5 years ago, when social media became very much paramount in terms of how people communicate, no longer might they tell people at a dinner party. They may well publish it to their hundreds of friends on Facebook. So I went on this RedBalloon experience. It was awesome, or however they choose to describe. Or here's the photo of Grandpa on his DC-3 flight. So the authenticity of just people spontaneously doing that, I believe, is what creates deep and rich relationships with customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Why the name RedBalloon?
Oh, well, you have to call a business something.
You do. It's called a business name.
Yeah, you have to come up with something. And, I remembered, a book from, it's actually was an Academy Award winning movie called The Red Balloon. And it was a French movie, and it's about a little boy whose best friend is a red balloon. And I loved that story as a child, and it's also a book. And I just remembered it. And red balloon is just a visual representation of good times, party times.
Yeah, it is.
Hard times. And even though it doesn't describe in any way what we do, once you know, and it's quite memorable and it's very visual.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's representative of great times. Was there a point then, Naomi, when you started RedBalloon, that you just thought, and having come from the cushy corporate background, which many of us have, that you thought, oh, geez, you know what? This is way too hard.
Look, it never occurred to me to give up. Never occurred to me. So I was working from home, keeping my overheads low, passionate about what I was doing. Everybody said, oh, that's such a good idea, but they weren't actually buying. So it never occurred to me to give up. I don't know. I just knew one day it would be okay. It would all turn out in the end, as they say, and it wasn't the end yet, so it would be okay.
Isn't that incredible? That whole, so many business owners would be listening to what you just said of it. I know I've got a good idea. I know my service or my product is good. Everyone says it is, but they're not buying. That is one of the most frustrating aspects of running a business.
Oh, absolutely. Unbelievably frustrating. But also, the thing is to keep asking the question, what have I learned? What do I need to change? What do I need to grow? The business is nothing like what it was, 12 or 13 years ago when I started it. It's completely different. In fact, even the business model is different than it once was. So, our point is to keep listening and responding, and using metrics particularly to look for trends, because you can't respond to every customer. If you've got, 500,000 customers now we have a year, well, they've all got an opinion. And many have given their opinions. Well, we can't please all of them. One says they want it blue and the other says they want it yellow. Well, what do you do? So
okay. So at what point do you go, oh, hang on, enough have said that yellow seems to be the better option? Is there a number? Is it a gut feeling? How do you know?
Well, that's when we now look at the technologies available for us as listening tools, and also in terms of analytical tools. I think the most important thing for anybody who does take the time to put pen to paper is that we acknowledge that they have an opinion, and it's really appreciated. And thank you for letting us know. But it's not physically possible to please everybody.
No, that's for sure. So there wasn't a point where you thought this is too hard. You learned along the way, things changed, business models changed, the way you went about it changed, but you just kept going. You knew you were on a good thing. What about then the moment when you thought, oh, hang on, this is going to be pretty big?
Yeah, I don't know, but I ever thought that really. Like sometimes you're so busy in the business you're not looking out to the future. Only really since I've become a director rather than, there's a CEO, Christy Buchanan, who now is the CEO of RedBalloon, and so I work as a director, that I'm far more future-focused and vision-focused. In those early days, it's pretty much hand-to-mouth and you're running very fast, and some days you wonder if you moved ahead at all. And not to say we didn't have some really, really tough times. There's times where I, went home in tears and couldn't face another day and all of those sorts of things. And I remember an entrepreneur friend of mine, Tim Pethick, he said, entrepreneurs are like those clown punching bags. We've got big smiles on our face. You punch as hard as you can, and then we just get up again. And I said, but what if I don't want to get up? And he said, oh, there I was thinking you were an entrepreneur. And so, of course, I just get up again.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
That hurt. Yeah, that's a good one.
Nothing, a bit of a challenge,
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so from a marketing perspective, you mentioned the business model is completely different to what it is now to how it was when you started. So when you started, you were sort of effectively, would it be fair to say that you were an agent where you went out and found all the great experiences that were available in Australia and you offered them on a website, correct? And took a commission?
Yes. But believe it or not, we didn't even really appreciate that we were an agent in those days. And that was our, really our genre, for want of a better word. So, I didn't know what I was doing, quite frankly. It was just a project. And, we just sort of thought we could load any old product on, and if they didn't want to pay us a commission, that's okay, we'd mark it up. Gosh, you could never do that. You just can't do that. We have to sell experiences at exactly the same price as our suppliers, because Google is the greatest equalizer. Why would you pay 20% more or anything to buy it from anybody else? So, we sell our experiences at exactly the same price, and learning about a price guarantee, and that we will refund 100% of the experience if people find that an experience is cheaper when they go direct. So, we really stand committed to that. So, we launched with 50 experiences. Only recently did I look up who was our first ever supplier. It was Manly Surf School, and they're still a supplier. They're still fantastic all these years on. And we used to have to beg to get suppliers, and now we have a whole team who reviews. It's all very strategic and what's missing, and they pitch for it's just so different. It's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So in terms of getting your message out there, now RedBalloon, you do a lot of media. You've got a lot of exposure. It's a business that lends itself to people talking about it by pure nature of what you do. But is there some marketing tactic that just when you roll it out works better than everything else?
Oh, you're looking for the answer, the silver bullet?
I'm looking for the silver bullet, that little magic potion, that bottle on the shelf that you just take the top off and away you go.
Oh, yeah, and people love my answer on this one. It's called hard work.
Here we go. It's not a good answer. We don't want to work hard.
No, that's right. Everybody thinks, there is no silver bullet. It is over and over again, consistency, execution, again and again and again. The thing is that if I was to launch a business now, I would do it completely differently than I did in those days. In those days, there's no such thing as social media. The biggest and most sophisticated way we communicated with people was via email. But, if we go back to the basics of marketing, it's no different. People want to have a relationship with their brand. They want to feel something, and people never forget the way you made them feel. And unfortunately, many brands, people are just becoming increasingly cynical about, because they can't believe in them anymore. They don't trust them. And trust is such a big part of brand building and brand reputation.
Massive.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, not the answer I was looking for, not a silver bullet, but you're absolutely right. I mean, I interviewed a guy a few months ago, Tommy Nicolosi. He won the Sandwich of the Year in America last year, and he just owns a little sandwich shop at a train station in Philadelphia, right, downtown Philadelphia. And his silver bullet was just consistently brilliant product, just day in, day out. You want to hear this guy talk about his sandwich, Naomi? He is passionate.
Yeah. And he's solving somebody's problem with that as well,
Yep, absolutely. But you've mentioned social media a few times. Clearly, and it's certainly not a silver bullet in my book. Every small business thinks they got to be on it in some way, shape or form. And clearly it's been a bit of a winner for you guys because it allows people to express their RedBalloon experiences. Is there, do you have a team? How do you manage that whole social media thing? Because it freaks a lot of businesses out.
Well, and fairly, and good on them for being freaked out, because I am not of one to say that social media is relevant for all businesses at all.
Hallelujah, sister.
Yeah, it's relevant to us because we have a consumer brand and consumers want to interact, and we're building relationships beyond our website because they can't touch and feel us. But, every local store, every whatever seems to have a Facebook page and a social media thing, and I wonder why. Because I don't necessarily think that is the answer, or relevant to their customers or how they want to participate with them. For some, a local store, it might be far more relevant to have a VIP night, a special opening, drinks, bring people in to show a new range, and good old fashioned just knowing everybody, all the other storekeepers around you. I am not a believer that social media is relevant for everybody at all.
No, that's I can hear myself talking right there. Now, one thing that I know that I get asked a lot more about these days is personal branding. And you have a business brand in RedBalloon. You also have built a personal brand in NaomiSimson.com. You blog there. You and I have shared a stage. We spoke a couple of years ago, so you're out there keynote speaking. You are and I noticed like your most recent post at NaomiSimson.com is all about, the title is Get Ready for Bullying Legislation. So that ain't about experiences.
No.
The question there is kind of about, tell me the line between building a personal brand and building your business brand.
Okay, well, first of all, I had absolutely no intention of building a personal brand. That's not what I do. So RedBalloon is all about the brand and what it stands for. But in building RedBalloon, it also is very much about creating trust. And to create trust, people have to know who you are and what you stand for. So I can't stand these websites where you go to the About Us page and you're actually no clearer after you've read it than you are beforehand. So, I want some rich information about who it is I'm going to do business with. So
yeah, I agree.
Everybody on our website is real people doing real stuff, and they're all of those videos, they're all our team. That's our team doing stuff. But what happened is I found myself in a very privileged position that I was being invited to all sorts of places, conferences, events, people sending me books to read, all sorts of things. I was gathering so much information and I needed to put it somewhere, because I like to collect information, but often I might forget, I heard that somewhere and I can't remember, and it really frustrates me. So I use my blog as a cataloguing system for my own brain. And it really has worked for me, now 780 posts or however many that I've now done, and I've done it for years and years and years. And it really is like an ancillary brain. It is one of my personal most precious resources, and it's not because of anything that it does for RedBalloon, me, my reputation, anything like that. It's because that's where I know I left the information and I can go back and find it. So,
do you have some kind of editorial mission, or can it be about anything?
No, my only editorial mission is what am I feeling or experiencing on the day, and what am I passionate about. So I believe that every Australian is entitled to a great day at work. That's why bullying is interesting to me, because quite often all sorts of structures such as tournaments and the way businesses are set up get in the way of people being able to do great work. I have seen the financial benefits of having a great place to work. People who love coming to work are quite happy to give their discretionary effort, and I like coming to work when everybody else likes coming to work. So what goes around comes around, quite frankly. So when I'm passionate about something, that's what I share. And sometimes they might be a little bit off-piste, and they might be a little controversial. So, but it's about starting a debate as well. If I'm saying, look, I'm prepared to stand up and have an opinion on things, well, fair enough, everybody can throw mud, and they often do. They often do throw mud, and I'm happy for that. Where's the debate on free childcare? We've got free primary and secondary education. When I was a girl, we also had free tertiary education, but let's not go there and talk about tertiary education. Bit topical right today. But unless somebody's at least putting some of these ideas out here, maybe somebody will read and go, oh, that's not such a stupid idea. How could we work on that and see where we went from there?
Okay, so you didn't set out to build that personal brand. I love it. It was a cataloguing system for Naomi, and other people enjoy reading it. Let's finish with that whole concept of everyone deserves a great day at work, because you, RedBalloon, have won BRW Great Place to Work 4 times running. So, hey, what makes, besides it being a happy place, how do you make it a great place to work?
Yeah, well, look, we provide an environment for it to be a great place to work. People have to choose to want to have a happy day at work. So, we look after people's well-being in all sorts of ways, whether it's that we have all of the stuff that we do for people with their physical well-being and nutrition, and whether it's about their learning and education and how we develop people, that they feel that they're connected to something bigger than themselves. The need to belong is very important. Also that they're recognised. Recognition is absolutely key to somebody having a great day, and it's not hard to notice what somebody does. And the final thing is that we allow people the environment to give, and that is to donate their time to charities or community works that are important to them. So if we look at the construct of well-being, and we as an employer provide those 5 pillars of well-being, then that gives them a much better way to contribute to the business. We're looking after them, they can look after our customers. So all of those things like health and safety and career progression, everything, that's table stakes. Every employer provides that, and of course we do too. But what we do is we provide an environment where people can choose to, have a good time, but culture is generated from every single person moment by moment. It's not something that's imposed. But when the leadership team is absolutely committed to having a great place to work, well, that's what will happen.
So it's much more than having a few beanbags around the place. I often see that. I used to see that in businesses, I've got a few beanbags in the social area of the office.
If I see it one more time in BRW, RedBalloon provides muesli bars, I'm just going to score.
Oh, isn't it funny?
The all-time classic is, they have a dog at work. Well, let me tell you, Dexter the dog, he is the thing that causes the most amount of upset. When he farts in a meeting, nobody wants to be there.
Yeah, not pretty. No. Not pretty. But you take that as a stamp of approval. Oh. Dexter dropped one. Must be, we'll go with that. Next.
Exactly. Moving that agenda item on. Yeah, exactly.
Naomi Simson from RedBalloon, thank you for sharing a whole lot of things. How your brain's catalogued, how to create happiness in the workplace, all sorts of things. I really appreciate it. Thanks for being on Small Business Big Marketing.
It was so much my pleasure, Tim.
Well, guys and girls, I hope you enjoyed that interview as much as I did enjoy bringing it to you. Lots of marketing learnings there, but I've chosen a top 3 that kind of resonated with me the most. Number 1, own a word. I love the idea of a business saying, we're going to own this word and live this word throughout the organisation. RedBalloons is happiness. Small Business Big Marketing's, by the way, is inspiration. I set out every time I create content, deliver content to inspire small business owners into action. So what's your word? Leave it in the show notes if you've got one. If you haven't, maybe reflect on it with yourself, your business partner, your staff, and come up with the word that's going to drive your business forward. Number 2, learning. Social media is not a silver bullet. And I loved how Naomi said to me, you're looking for the silver bullet when I asked her about the best marketing that RedBalloon does. There ain't no marketing silver bullet. Social media isn't, advertising isn't, networking isn't. But when you add all the different marketing initiatives that you do up in your business, 1 and 1 equals 11. And that's when you start to see some marketing magic happen. Number 3, I love Naomi's concept around blogging or view of blogging, a way to capture and catalogue her thoughts. I love that. I actually still do believe that she is setting out there to build a strong personal brand and doing a great job at it. But as a blogger, to actually use it as a way of just capturing your thoughts beyond what it is you do in your business. Because if you look at Naomi's blog, it's well beyond happiness. It's well beyond providing experiences, which is what RedBalloon's business is. And it is a way of cataloguing her thoughts. Interesting way of viewing it. And if blogging's been something you've been toying with but didn't know how to go about it, how to approach it, what to write about, then just cataloguing your thoughts is a great mindset to have. Alrighty, so I hope you enjoyed that interview. I just want to share some, I must do this because I've got such a backlog of emails and letters from small business owners, from listeners. I've got to share more of them, so I'll intend to do that over the coming weeks and months. But a little response from Warwick Bidwell, episode 136, which is last week's episode. Warwick sent me a note jokingly suggesting I pay him a commission for the amount of people he refers to my show, he said with a wink. He subsequently came back and was very chuffed that I mentioned him on the show last week. And he shares a little anecdote. He says, by way of a little anecdote, my content marketing following your tips on the show has got me to number 1 on Google for Business Coach Sunshine Coast, my local area up here in sunny Queensland. Plus, I appear 3 times on the first page. I'll be turning this up a notch with the release of my new branding and website in the coming month or so. Already have 2 clients directly as a result of this. And my investment so far, apart from time, has been a big, fat donut. Warwick, I love a bit of results-driven marketing, and I'm so glad the Small Business Show has contributed to that. Guys, not that I really want everyone sitting with a pen and paper when they listen to the show, because I want you to kind of be leaning back, just enjoying it. But look, I know there's marketing gems delivered throughout this show, often by my guests, occasionally by myself, and I do encourage you to pick 1 or 2 from each episode. Don't be kind of overwhelmed by the fact that there might be 10 or 12, but just pick 1 or 2 and go and implement it. Warwick has, and he is benefiting hugely. Another letter from Derek Major. Hello from Canada, he says. I just wanted to thank you for such an incredible podcast. I've been playing catch up the last few weeks since your podcast has become a regular routine on my jogs every morning to start the day off. And if I haven't finished it off on the treadmill, then you're usually playing in the car on my way to the office. Geez, I don't know. What about a bit of kind of 80s Hall & Oates, Derek? You might be too young for that. I think you're a young guy. Now, he also goes on to say, I can't tell you how much excited I am to have found your podcast, and it has been inspiring me to really focus on content marketing on our site. Appreciate it, Derek, and love the fact. Oh, how's this? He also goes on to say, anyways, keep up the great work. I'm excited to say that I'm going to be part of the Canadian delegation for the G20 Young Entrepreneur Association Summit in Russia this June. And I'm looking forward to connecting with the Australian delegation, and we'll be testing them about Timbo Reid. Oh, geez, the pressure's on. I hope one of those delegation at least knows of me and they can go, oh, yeah, Timbo, yeah. He's the most famous guy in Australia. Not. Now, last one, Anita Sutherland, another far-stretched corner of the world. This time it's part of Australia, not over the other side of the world, but she says, hi, Timbo, I recently started listening to your podcasts and I am loving it. As I live in a remote town in Western Australia and my catchment area is so big, I travel a lot and this makes my drive a lot more fun. I also use your podcast while working out in the gym. Hey, there you go. I might reposition this show as, the small business marketing alternative to weight loss. I am the manager of a small business centre in Kimberley, in Kununurra. Yeah, that is a long, long way away. That's kind of in the opposite part of Australia to where I am. And I try to start thinking outside the square and help small businesses, startups and existing with your normal and some innovative marketing strategies. I love that. Clearly some of the stuff I share is normal and the other stuff is completely wacko, some of which just might work. Look, Anita goes on to say some other wonderful things, asks some really smart questions, and in fact inquires about me as a marketing speaker, which I am. If you want to find out more about me as a marketing speaker, go to timreid.com.au, and that is my personal branding site where I offer up the opportunity to get me as a marketing speaker at your next event. Hey, Anita, thank you so much for making contact. I really appreciate that. And for everyone else who has sent me an email over the last few months, they are all sitting there, I promise. I even checked my spam recently. There was a couple in there, so I've pulled them out. In fact, Anita was one of those. And I will get to you either via the show or via return email over the course of time. Hey guys, that's been a big show. Covered a lot of marketing ground. I hope there was a lot of marketing love in there for you and that you can find just one thing to implement in your business. As I said at the start of the show, action is the silver bullet of marketing. If there is one, I encourage you to take it immediately. Guys, love your work. Lots of big interviews coming up, fireside chats with fantastic small business owners cranking out great marketing. Remember to join the Small Business Big Marketing Forum, $49 a month. Why wouldn't you? Go to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com and click on the forum button. Thank you to Net Registry for all the online marketing love you share with us. And guys, until next time, may your marketing be fantastic marketing. See ya.
You've been listening to the Small Business Big Marketing Show with Tim Reid. Want more marketing goodness? Then visit smallbusinessbigmarketing.com.